Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jean Mondora from Slovak Academy of Sciences. Today, I will present my paper, which is entitled Security Architecture of Kerberos Authentication and Domain Credential Management. Our agenda is as follows. The subtitle is The Formal Analysis of these Authentication Protocols in Distributed Cloud Environment, Security Vulnerabilities and Mitigation Strategies. The second point, we will explore and explain the definition and usage of Kerberos ticket. The third will be the mathematical modeling of the tickets generation, how we can perform a smooth generation of those tickets and what are the required steps. The fourth will be our proposal, which is an extension of the Kerberos system, and we will highlight also the formal protocol verification. And the fifth point will be the experimental data visualization, which we will explain in deeper or ablation study. The sixth point will be the security proof, the resistance to replay attack, how it helps against that, how our proposal helps against replay attack. And then the last one will be the future work and conclusion. The Kerberos definition and usage. The Kerberos protocol has served as the main method for single sign-on process in a large system, in a large company, by using trusted third party. However, the modern era of cyber attack has expanded. The integration of legacy Kerberos implementation within modern Azure environment has introduced protocol translation vulnerabilities, and then we will explain it later. This type of architecture allows any authenticated user to request a service ticket for any SPN. Therefore, because of a portion of the ticket is encrypted with the service account's password hash, the adversary can extract it and crack it offline. And I will say something that is very important. Nowadays, attackers will not spend too much time anymore the moment that they already get into an environment to crack hashed password. And I will explain myself. The moment that they are able to see a hash, so they can use the pass technique hash to use that hash. They will not have to use dictionary file, to crack it offline or online. So they will just need to pass that hash. And this is very high level technique that is used by modern attacks, by attackers in these days. They will simply pass that hash. Okay. In our research paper, we address the systemic failures by re-engineering the authentication server and the tickets granting service exchanges through a mathematical lens, a mathematical patterns, so that we ensure that even a compromised ticket does not provide the entropy necessary for an offline cryptographic breakdown. Here in this paper, we focus much more on the on the dictionary file attack, or brute force attack offline. But as I said, attackers will not really spend too much time. If, for example, after 5-10 minutes, they found nothing, they will go to another route. Generally, when a KDC issues a ticket, the encrypted blob contains metadata. The lack of forward sequencing and standard Kerberos exchanges means that a compromise of the KDC master key results in the total collapse of the domain security perimeter. Now let's understand the mathematical modeling of the ticket generation. We say that let's C be the client, so KDC the key distribution center, and S the service. The authentication service request, AS request, is therefore formulated as follows. The AS request is equal to CS of the ticket granted service, and then the number of devices and then N, and then the the T request. The KDC responds with an AS response, where the ticket is encrypted using the TGS secret key KGTS. Now, to ensure temporal integrity, we also must define the valid window, which we put as omega t. So we proposed an algorithm that we built from the ECC, which is elliptic curve. This extension, where the initial pre-authentication does not rely solely on the user's password hash, but instead we use the Diffie-Hellman exchange over the elliptic curve. The protocol verification. To evaluate the security of the Kerberos exchange, we formalize it as follows. P equal to X, P believes X, and P sees X. The next, P once said X. So, and then P and Q share a secret key. Now, to prove that the proposal protocol achieves mutual authentication, we also apply the Bain logic strictness. We must also prove that both the client C and the KDC sender believe they share a fresh or a unique session key. Therefore, the first thing we need to do is to translate the Kerberos messages into idealized forms. The empirical data visualization. The first graph illustrates the computational cost of each protocol variation. It highlights how the transition from the ECC curve 2025, curve 25519 to conventional RSA, which is an asymmetric key encryption that result in a massive latency spike. Those two represent the core findings from our ablation study. The second graph is the KDC request handling capacity. It illustrates the ablation of packet size. By removing the burdensome certificates that requires PK init, and replacing it with raw ECC public key, we reduced the ticket size by 58%. Making it very, very substantial and adequate for low bandwidth environment. Security proof. Now we have to understand that what is the point, what's the use of our proposal? It resists from replay attack. To correctly confirm resistance to this type of attack, we define the freshness of the authenticator F as follows. F authentication is equal C, and so on and so on. But let me explain. The KDC maintains a replay cache of nonces and notification within the time window delta t. Therefore, if an adversary captures the first parameter, the first value, and attempts a replay attack at the t, so the KDC reject the request if and only if. So the KDC rejects the request if this formula validates. Additionally, one important thing to prove that the resistance to denial of service attacks, the asymmetric cryptographic is usually and computationally more expensive than symmetric cryptography. An attacker could flood the KDC with AS request packets containing forged or, let's say, fake public keys to exhaust the CPU resources. So the mitigation technique that we can implement a cookie mechanism similar to IKE version 2. And also we must mention that the KDC does not execute the scalar multiplication until the client proves that they are reachable. Our future work. As companies, become increasingly decentralized and low latency environments such as 5G enabled edge computing and the emerges 6G system, the role of a centralized key distribution KDC must also evolve. The purpose direction, we suggest that a KDC hierarchy framework where local edge nodes should act as ephemeral KDC. From a mathematical standpoint, like maintaining global consistency of the replay cache across geographically dispersed nodes is also paramount. And we will also analyze a Bloom filter-based synchronization mechanism and propose a model to mitigate the state transfer overhead. Our proposed model shows the following points. First, the mutual authentication that can be correctly verified using the BEN logic. The offline attacks such as the kb hosting AS response hosting, which are mathematically nullified by ensuring the session keys entropy is independent of the user's password. And then the last is the performance trade-off. As identity threat and privacy remaining the primary attack surface in modern cybersecurity, the enhancements propose a scalable, professional, and mathematically rigorous path forward for securing companies' domain credentials. Thank you for your attention. If you want to reach out to me, please feel free to contact me via this email address, or if you want to know much more about me, please feel free to scan this QR code. Thank you so much for your attention.